Go, hey, all right.
It's more of the less, but it's more or less it's the same.
Right. Here we go. All right. 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to The Weigh-In with Mike Parson.
What are you cackling at, fatty? Too much pie, that's your problem.
And Fred Slow.
Anybody want a peanut?
On demand 24/7 at weighinradio.com.
Interior crocodile alligator. I drive a Chevrolet.
You go first, Fred.
Interior crocodile alligator. I drive a Chevrolet.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Crocodile alligator. I drive a Chevrolet.
The Fan, K Radio Sports, Pendulum Podcast proudly brings to you your entertaining value and moments. The Weigh-In with Mike Parsons. And I, of course, am Fred Slow. The hot topics of the day, the hot takes that are hot.
Are you trying extra hard? Yeah, I was going to say, are you trying extra hard, Fred, because we've been off for a while and we don't remember how to do this?
We did. I'm trying to get over. This is a wrestling term. I'm trying to get over. When I was younger, Mike, I went out into the world to change it, but instead, the world changed me.
You know, Fred, you've changed. We've been off for a month and you've changed. I don't even know who you are anymore.
I know. I came back. I had to get a haircut. Boom, boom.
Oh, you got the summer buzz.
That's what you remember when David Letterman had all the heart surgery and he came back and he says, sorry guys, when I got a haircut.
That classic Letterman.
I went to Hello Deli one time. Did I tell you about this?
No, please do.
Yeah, it's Rupert.
Wait, first of all, for those of us that haven't watched Letterman since the 90s, what's a Hello Deli?
It's on. I don't remember Rupert's last name, but it was the deli down the block from, I guess, Radio City Music Hall, where the Letterman show was shot.
Bars and restaurants. That's good. That's good for the economy.
The Late Show, the late show. He jumped around. He had a couple of them. Anyways, so we went to the Hello Deli, and it was as advertised. It was a deli.
Yeah, I mean, there are a dime a dozen out there in New York, I'm guessing.
You can get pastrami on basically anything, but I prefer it on bread.
Yeah. Wow. Man, you're full of jokes, aren't you? Did you become a dad in this last month and a half? Because you got some dad jokes.
I've been using what I called like more topical. I tell you all the time, I'm a content comic, man. If I see something in the news, I make jokes about it. Right. But not everyone watches the news. So if you go with dad jokes, they never miss.
Well, Fred, speaking of topics, we can never take this long of a break ever again, because when we're off for this long, people die.
All of them. The greatest people have died, Mike.
The guy on your T-shirt is dead. I call it the Fred Slow T-shirt curse.
If you're not watching on the YouTube channel, by the way, we recommend you do. It's a lot of fun. You get a little behind the scenes of what we do here. I am wearing
a new haircut at our YouTube channel. That should drive some traffic.
Wearing my Cassius Clay T-shirt for previously Muhammad Ali. Little homage there to the great one.
Right, and so Muhammad Ali died last weekend. And, of course, this whole week was spent remembering his legacy and his impact.
As it should have.
And we touched this a little bit on one of my other shows, Fred. It's kind of hard to place Muhammad Ali's legacy when it comes to those of us who were born after 1980, because his last fight was in 1980. And of course, you hear the pundits who watched him in real time in his heyday, and to some people he was the world's greatest fighter. Others, he was the most electrifying man in sports entertainment before The Rock. To others, he was a quote-unquote draft dodger. To others, he was a civil rights champion. But to me, he's always been a reminder of mortality, because ever since I've been conscious, the Muhammad Ali I've known has been post-Parkinson's. And, of course, I would see the file footage from back in the day when he was loud and brash. And then, when you see him lighting that torch in Atlanta back in 1996, and you're not privy to what was going on with him. He said, whoa, what happened to the champ? And to me, he's always been a symbol of sort of our own mortality.
Yeah, it's an interesting aspect. I think my story, I'm 31, and I think this is going to resonate a lot with a lot of listeners, and maybe yourself. Maybe you haven't put this thought to it yet. I first came I first became aware of Muhammad Ali in 1996 at the Summer Olympics.
Right.
In 1996 at the Summer Olympics, Muhammad Ali lights the torch to start the Olympic Games. And to that point, I didn't know. I didn't understand how revered and important and at that point loved that Muhammad Ali had become. And that's the interesting thing. I don't know if that transition to love would have been so dramatic if not for that disease, if not for literally being taken down a peg. I want to go way back, Mike, and we're going to give a quick history lesson of Muhammad Ali for the listener that might not know. And if you don't know, you should take the time and learn. In 1960, at 18 years old, Muhammad Ali fights for the United States of America in the Summer Olympics in Rome, and he wins the light heavyweight championship at 18 years old. 4 years later, at 22, he beats Sonny Liston and becomes the world boxing champion. And this is not like today's boxing, Mike. This is boxing when boxing is the biggest sport in the world. In 1964, right. And it's not even close, boxing is the biggest sport on the planet. Number 2, horse racing. Oh, the times have changed. At 22 years old, Muhammad Ali sheds his slave name of Cassius Clay and becomes Muhammad Ali. He then indoctrinates himself into the Muslim religion, and he is now the greatest athlete in the world at the greatest sport in the world, and he is shunning the United States of America and his heritage for a new pursuit. And I cannot say anything about Muhammad Ali unless I say he is altruistic. Muhammad Ali was passionate and engulfed in every single thing he pursued, be it the greatest boxer in the world, or be it Muslim, or be it anti-war, or be it whatever it was. Do not say he was not passionate, because you do not understand that man.
Right. And there's just certain people out there who are born with different DNA than us, right? There's certain people out there you see, and they seem superhuman at times. And I think when Muhammad Ali came around, obviously racism was still running rampant.
Oh, my God. And let's not be ignorant. Let's not say it's not here today. It still exists to today.
Right. I mean, well, yeah. But, I mean, the racism back then was a lot more socially acceptable, I guess you could say. And, you know, what you heard is that there was a lot of black athletes back in those days who were afraid to venture out into any avenue other than their own sport, right? Because the white racist public would say, you know your place and yada yada. All of a sudden, you have Muhammad Ali coming about saying that he's not going to go fight in Vietnam because he's never been called an N-word by any Viet Cong. He's never been chased by a Viet Cong. They've never lynched any of his relatives. And all of a sudden, the racist part of America has a mirror held up to it, and it doesn't like what it sees. Now, what happens when people do that? They don't change. They attack the person who's exposing them, and it's very interesting to see how beloved Muhammad Ali has become over the years. And it wasn't even that long of a time, because he refused to go to Vietnam in the mid-'60s. And by the time I was around in the late 80s, early 90s, he was the most beloved sports figure of all time. And it's just interesting how historical perceptions and looking back on people can be so different than a lot of the public opinion in real time. Like there's people out there who folks may not like, and I'm trying to think of a polarizing figure out
Kanye
there.
West.
Kanye West or Barack Obama. Okay, perfect example. Sure. Barack Obama. There are a lot of people out there who are critical of Obama. A lot of that criticism is policy based. Others of it is racially based. And although it seems like the country is split 50-50 on Barack Obama right now, because we're living in vitriolic times and we're not able to step back and look at it, I think eventually he will be remembered fondly by history because of his historical significance. Sure. And I think that's what happened with Muhammad Ali back in the 60s, when he conscientiously, and I've been having trouble with that word ever since he died, conscientiously objected to fighting in Vietnam.
Well, let's go back to 66, right? Let's go back to the Vietnam War. The last great war was World War II. Anyone will tell you that. The last time, and this is, please understand my opinion. The things that I'm saying I do not want them to be misconstrued. The last great war, they will, was World War II. If you went and fought in World War II, you were killing Nazis, you were killing Hitler, you were saving families, you were liberating countries that had been attacked or whatever they had been, and you were a hero. You left a hero before you even got there, and you came home a hero.
There was a clear-cut sense of good versus evil.
Absolutely. Vietnam was the opposite of that. Vietnam, you are a murderer, and you are a raper, and you kill children, and you do not understand the difference between wrong and right, and you are choosing to do wrong. And you were conscripted into this army to do it. And those people would come home after literally going through hell, and then have to endure hell at home due to the atrocities that were the Vietnam War. It is a very black eye in American history that I don't think is understood well enough. With that said, there were a lot of guys who avoided it. There were a lot of guys that took education credit, said, I can't go to war, I'm going to college. There were a lot of guys that said, I can't go to war, I don't even live here. I live in Canada. Look at the growth of Winnipeg and Toronto and Vancouver, the cities at those times around the late 60s of people who were just fleeing the country. But Muhammad Ali did not do that. Muhammad Ali said, not only am I not going, because the things I believe in will not allow me to go, I'm not going in a way that I'm going to stay here. I'm going to sacrifice 3 of the primest years of my career, and I'm going to take it to the absolute top. So not only does Muhammad Ali, with his brash, outlandish, articulate, African-American ways, beliefs, and styles, become the greatest athlete in the world at the greatest sport in the world, as it's renowned by the country he lives in, he then takes that country to battle. He takes that country to its highest court, and he beats that country. He beat the United States of America in forcing him to fight for it. So then it only intensifies. People in this country and people around the world, he had a lot of praise, but people in this country hated his guts because not only was he the champion of this country, he hated this country. And because he hated it, he was able to use that notoriety to change it. And there's nothing people hate more than forced change.
Right. Well, and I wasn't around. So I can't say whether I think he hated this country or not. I never got the impression he hated this country, but I got the impression that he hated aspects of this country, and he hated aspects of this country. No, that's okay. That's okay. Because Fred, like you said, you don't want what you say be misconstrued. But I think he, like a lot of people at the time, were not sure why the United States was in Vietnam fighting a war. I think you could probably draw a lot of parallels to Iraq. You know,
I'm almost certain Counterculture in the 1960s has a Wikipedia page. I mean, it was
probably.
It was that big of a movement, and Muhammad Ali was the face of that. But yeah, keep going.
Right. So think back to the Iraq War, the second time we went in under George W. Bush.
Yes.
And just how confusing and how polarizing that was. Now, who was the biggest athlete at that time in 2003? Give me a superstar in 2003. Tom Brady. You know, say Tom Brady got drafted to go fight in Iraq back in 2004, and he said no. And on top of saying no, he told you why, and he brought up some real yet ugly phenomenons that were happening in this country. That's what Muhammad Ali was back in 1964.
He was bigger than Tom Brady, though.
Right. Well, see, and that's why I struggled to find a comparison.
I don't think there's a modern day one. There's not a guy that worldwide, and I think the closest one we could get to it may be Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods was a guy who worldly speaking, was understood as the absolute best at his sport, but golf is not what heavyweight boxing was in the 60s. You're not going to get a guy who has the track record that Ali has as far as changing the world. And that's a crazy thought. It's such an individual person can do that, and he did.
Right. Well, and I mean, if you think about it, you know, anytime a legendary broadcaster or a legendary celebrity passes away, you think to yourself, there'll never be another one like him.
Mhm.
And the reason why that, at least with Muhammad Ali, is look, back then you had a few TV stations, a couple newspaper outlets, and that's it. People's attention span wasn't fragmented so many different ways. On top of that, this was pre-sports marketing. So, nowadays, every big sports personality since Michael Jordan, there's been an air of inauthenticity about them because they're a product, right? They're a product to sell shoes. They're a product to sell sports drinks. But Muhammad Ali was Muhammad Ali because he really had nothing on the line when it comes to a public relations or marketing perspective. And that's probably why he was so outspoken. And that was probably why people connected with him the way they did one way or another, because he was honest and he was authentic. And I think for that reason alone, we'll never see someone rise to that behemoth level of a figure in culture.
I don't believe for a second the biggest athlete in the world, let's say, is LeBron James.
Right.
The biggest endorser of LeBron James is Pepsi. I do not believe for a second that LeBron James lives on Pepsi. And I think that's what you're saying. There's an altruistic movement to it. The one thing I think you left out, and I think you were very articulate, the way he inspired. And what I want to talk about is real quickly before we go to break, 1968, the Olympic Games in Mexico City, Tommy Smith, I think it's John Carlos. They win first and third in the 100-meter track and field, and they do the human rights. Well, a lot of people call it a Black Power salute, but to my understanding, it was a human rights salute where they raised the black glove in solidarity. And then these are the actions that are inspired. These are the guys. This is that counterculture. And as those guys aged and grew older and found places of position in life where they're able to help and do well for others, that's the acceptance that Muhammad Ali brought. Those young people and those individuals that grew up to run this country accepted others in this country. And I don't necessarily know, without that counterculture movement that Muhammad Ali was a figurehead of, that we would be fortunate enough to be where we are today.
Yeah, Fred, we're going to hit a quick break. While we do that, I'm going to Google what altruistic means because you said it twice.
It means you mean what you mean.
Oh, I got you. Well, thank you for saving me a Google search. It's turn the right. No, it's not. I know I was going to do that. It's the weigh-in. Weightinradio.com, 590thefan.com, pendulumpodcast.com, caveradiosports.com. We'll be right back.
It just means unselfish, for real.
I gotcha. Okay. There was a part, and I'm glad you were still talking. You said, I'm 31, and then for about 20 seconds, I lost you. So I don't know if you left room for me to say anything, but when I got you back, you were still talking. So
no, I had a soliloquy prepared.
Okay, good. All right, you know what? Let's do the Gawker thing here because it's very fascinating, and you haven't heard it yet. So, all right, we went 18 minutes with that. So let's see. We'll go 13. We'll go 13 here. We'll do
if we only had 3 breaks, it's not the end of the world.
Right, exactly. Okay. We'll do 13 here. If we go longer, then we'll just adjust that last one. All right, here you go. 3, 2, 1.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
I'm a little worried about being a slut.
Weightinradio.com.
So it looks like Gawker is filing for bankruptcy. As a result for that, I think it was a $140 million lawsuit that Hulk Hogan brought against them and won.
Don't undersell it, Mike. It's 140.1.
Oh, was it? I'm sorry. That's what happens when I don't do the show with note cards.
Get the facts straight, Mike.
I just start throwing out numbers willy-nilly.
OMP, what do you even know?
Nothing. Not a whole lot.
Yeah, 140. Gawker, they declared bankruptcy today. What's this, to keep Hulk Hogan from taking over? What's this move here?
Well, no. If you remember, Hulk Hogan sued Gawker Media because they released clips from his sex tape.
Hulk Hogan or Terry Bollea?
Yeah, that's right, because he said Terry Bollea and Hulk Hogan are 2 different people. We're going to say Hulk Hogan just because nobody knows him as Terry Bollea. Okay, he's Hulk Hogan. Gawker released clips of a sex tape that he made with Bubba the Love Sponge's wife, who used to be his best friend, and they released a bunch of transcripts from it, which led to us finding out that Hulk Hogan was a racist with an Oedipal thing for his daughter. The WWE found out, and they separated themselves from him. And then Hulk Hogan took them to court because he did not consent to them posting his sex tape. So eventually, the courts found that he was in the legal right. And we did a big thing on this back then, Fred. I think my position was like, look, the WWE, they were in the right to let him go because you can't have someone like that damaging your brand. But that's a totally separate issue as to whether Gawker had the legal right to post his sex tape without his consent, and yada yada yada. And now they are filing for bankruptcy and trying to sell. Well, the other day, a name entered the conversation, which I had not heard of until just recently. But there's this man named Peter Thiel. He is a billionaire venture capitalist. He founded PayPal. And a few years ago, Gawker outed him as gay.
Okay.
So Peter Thiel, and I don't know why Peter Thiel was so opposed to being outed as gay, but either way, that doesn't matter. You know, when you come out, is your business. Well, he felt that Gawker destroyed his life with this.
Ooh.
And so, bent on revenge, he bankrolled Hulk Hogan's entire lawsuit against Gawker.
I did not know.
Eventually, they won $140 million. Gawker says, bro, we don't got that money. And even if we did, we wouldn't be able to run our operation if we paid you $140. So they've gone bankrupt. Advantage Hulk Hogan, advantage Peter Thiel.
So if they can't pay Hulk Hogan, does Hulk Hogan get to take over Gawker? That is my question.
Mate, what are you going to do when Hulk Hogan takes over Gawker on you? I don't know.
Hulk Hogan's in the Gawker zone right now.
Yeah, I hope not, because look, Gawker's a rag. I've never saw Gawker Media as a bastion of journalistic integrity, even though sometimes it will break some stuff and Deadspin will expose some things, aka Brett Favre's Crank. But really, it's a rag that's set out to smear people's reputation and damage careers. Now, to be fair, a lot of those careers deserve to be damaged, but there's a lot of people out there, Fred, who think that this is a bad sign for journalism, and that if you piss off the wrong person who has enough money, that they can take you down, and this is an affront to the First Amendment, which I don't really agree with.
Well, I don't know if it's a bad thing for journalism. I will say it's absolutely a bad thing for free press. I think those guys, you're in trouble. If you don't have the backing of a corporation that can fight these kind of things, then you're not going to exist. Here's what's going to happen. Gawker's going to sell itself. They fire Chapter 11, cool, but what's going to happen is they're going to get evaluated. They're going to have a value. Then they're going to sell themselves for that value, and someone's going to buy them. Fox, I don't know who. Somebody is going to buy them. GE. Right. And then Gawker, Deadspin, and all those other, there's a bunch of them under the umbrella. They're going to be absorbed into this conglomerate is
the word you're looking for. Conglomerate
where they'll be done. They'll be owned by a corporate structure, and then they'll be treated as such. So you won't be able to trust them for their unbiased, which isn't always great because you don't get the best reporting. Right. But it's over, right? This is how free press will end. This is how free press will die.
Well, let me tell you, Fred, why I don't think that this is a strike against journalism or a strike against free press. Gawker would still be operating if they never posted that sex tape of Hulk Hogan against his consent. And when this happened, I thought this verdict was a good thing, because revenge porn, I think it's becoming a real problem. Right? You hear story after story of teenagers who kill themselves, or they ruin or damage their future career prospects because they were with somebody who taped them in an intimate moment, or they sent nudes to a boyfriend or girlfriend that they trusted. And I think that, to me, honestly, I think if you post nude pictures of people online without their consent, I think there needs to be stiff legal penalties for that. And I think that you could even argue that that's some form of sexual assault. Now, I'm not crying any tears for Hulk Hogan himself, right? Because Hulk Hogan, he proved to be personally a racist weirdo with something for his daughter. But I'm thinking of like these websites that are now defunct, like Is Anybody Up? Or, that 15-year-old who was Snapchatted in the shower and she killed herself. I think that, to me, I put this more in the category of revenge porn being punished than a strike against the free press, than a affront to the First Amendment. Because, look, Peter Thiel's been trying to destroy Gawker for a long time, and he didn't have a legal in. They did something that was unethical, and of course that's very loose when it comes to these online rags, but he did something unethical, illegal, and that's what gave Peter Thiel the opening.
I'm telling you, if Gawker and Deadspin and all these umbrella guys, to escape this punishment, if they do sell their brand, if they do whatever, there'll be a new Gawker, there'll be a new whatever. And whatever corporation buys it will plant something. Something will happen, and we'll see this entire process again. If you find a way to destroy a thing that opposes you, you will regularly exhaust that option. So do not think for a second, Mike, that there's going to be able to be another Gawker, or TMZ's the one. TMZ will make it. But aside from them, don't think that if the recipe's there, big business will use it. This will have you think you can walk on eggshells. You think you can not post the video, the revenge video, the whatever video. I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to escape this or this phenomenon.
But Fred, don't you think that there are people out there who have been trying to shut down Gawker, who've been trying to shut down Deadspin or Huffington Post, and they haven't been able to because they have a whole team full of lawyers who let them know what's legal and what's not legal, and they just happen to slip up this one time. And I think that, look, there's laws in place, there's codes of ethics in place, and if you operate underneath those rules and regulations, then you're fine. But once you step outside rules and regulations, then I think that's where you're going to get into trouble. And I think Gawker has nobody to blame for this but Gawker.
Yeah, I mean, it's cloudy though, man. Like,
yeah, it is. But like I said, this and I guess maybe the comparison that I'm making might be a stretch. But to me, this is an instance of somebody having nude and graphic images of themselves posted without their consent. Mm-hmm. And there needs to be recourse against that. Like when they outed Peter Thiel himself as gay. Well, that's not necessarily untrue. So even though Peter Thiel didn't like that particular story coming out about him, there was no legal recourse they could take because number one, it was true. Number two, it wasn't necessary slander because people come out as gay all the time, and it's not damaging. But Peter Thiel had to wait for Gawker to do something illegal before he was able to find the Achilles heel to bring him down.
Yeah, yes, hard yes, Mike. And I'm telling you, corporations are going to do the exact same thing. Like this is not going to be unique moving forward. Then there'll be a new Gawker. There'll be a new free press, citizen reporting type thing that's getting you the story first, but it might not quite be right. And
but you know what, Fred? Though there's a lot of citizen reporting out there, though. That's a lot of misinformation and loose facts. And I think that I think that's going to continue. I'm pretty sure that anytime an expose is posted about a corporation and their unethical practices, corporations have been trying to take down big publications for a long time, and it's up to the publications to not do anything illegal or unethical that leaves them open for lawsuits like this.
Do you think we will see a change in how reporting as a whole is done from anyone?
I mean, I think we have. Ever since the internet became a thing, traditional news media has panicked. And we have seen it, because how many times are you watching CNN or you're on Twitter and there's a breaking news event and you get a whole bunch of misinformation? Like you could get a whole story in the first hour of any breaking news event.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a good chance that whole story is wrong. But the fact that everyone is trying to beat the internet, and they will broadcast or they will tweet out the first unspecified report that they hear, I think that change has happened. Now, I think maybe you're thinking of another change when it comes to this. So why don't you explain to me the change that you foresee coming?
I think there's such a desire to bring attention to your reporting as opposed to bringing correct information to your reporting. So you need to be the first. You need to be the quickest. You need to do but with that said, you don't have to be the most on top, and you don't have to be the most dialed in. You don't have to have the best information. You just have to have the first information. I do not think we're going to be able to stray away from that just because and this is a pretty big one, but because there's a punishment issued. Like Gawker or Deadspin or whoever should have, instead of pushing the Hulk Hogan tape out, because I'm almost certain if they hadn't put the Hulk Hogan tape out first, it would have ended up somewhere else, and someone else would have put it out first.
And they would have been $140 million.
Yeah, they would have been out. But Gawker weighed that. That was part of their consideration. Do we put it out first and chance it, but we're the ones who put it out first, or do we just press the brakes? Do we just take a long beat and wait? And I don't think people will take that beat. I think people will play the chance to be the first in, I guess in this circumstance, the only. But now, right. I mean, now there's access to it other places.
Right.
Will you chance it every time? And I think people will. I absolutely think they will.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I don't think this is going to change the way people report things at all. Because like you said, everyone wants to be first. And Gawker, they rolled the dice. And I don't know who they conferred with in their legal department before they posted this, but that was some wrong legal advice, and it cost them. But yeah, I think you're right, Fred. I don't see reporting changing at all, because I think that rich, powerful people have been trying to sue the National Enquirer for years, or any of these other gossip. I bet you TMZ has had lawsuit after lawsuit filed against them. Now, I don't know what National Enquirer or TMZ does differently that Gawker didn't do that covered their butts, but I think that most news publications have their legal game together, and I don't think this is going to scare people a whole heck of a lot.
I don't think it will either. I think they're going to end up not paying $140 million. They're going to end up. I think they're going to sell. I don't know what the other option is. Someone's going to buy it. The branding is very powerful.
Right. Yeah, and you know what? I don't think this legal chess match is over. I really don't. I mean, this Gawker saying that they're filing for bankruptcy. This may be some kind of clandestine power move on their part too. I mean, I have no idea.
It'll unfold, and as it does, I mean, we'll give you our uneducated opinion on it. But but yeah, I just be careful what you read. Know your source. It's not necessarily what you're taking in, but know where it's coming from, because that's gonna make you understand those biases. So take some time, do your own research before you're researching.
It's the weigh-in, weightinradio.com, 590 The Fan, 590thefan.com, pendulumpodcast.com, caveradiosports.com. We'll be right back. All right. Good segment.
Sorry, I got a weird text.
Oh, that's okay. Everything okay?
Yeah, just my day job's stupid.
Oh, okay.
And by stupid, I mean I love it. Right. You can't control the actions of others, which is a thing that I'm not used to.
Right. Exactly. That's why you go rogue. Let's see here. Okay, so 16 plus 18. What's that? 16 plus 18. 16 plus 16 is 32. So 34. Okay, so we did 34. 34. Okay. So if we went like 17 minutes with this, that'd be like 50-some minutes.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. I got a couple things here that I can spitball off you.
Hodgepodge.
Hodgepodge. Here we go.
Potpourri.
3, 2, 1.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
Got him!
Weighинradio.com.
So, Fred, you work with a lot of younger adults, older teenagers, correct?
Yes, sir. I have a lot of those employees.
And I think that before we went to break, I don't know if it was our last show or the show before that, there was another anti-millennial hot take video out there about it happens every generation, right? The greatest generation thought the baby boomers were spoiled and lazy. The baby boomers thought Gen Xers were spoiled and lazy, and now everyone thinks millennials are spoiled and lazy.
Well, here's a neat thing. I don't know if you know this, but 1880, storytelling was ruining society. Well, and then in 1900, it was books. Books were ruining society. 1920s, though, you watch out for that radio. Radio's going to get you.
Nowadays, people don't talk to each other. They're just sitting around listening to the radio.
Don't you dare talk about the 1950s when you knew TV would be the end of days.
Right.
You talking about the 80s? They got CDs? End of days.
Teenagers have their noses buried in these compact discs. They don't even talk to each other.
2000s, the internet, that's going to ruin society. Yeah,
These damn kids have their noses in the internet. They don't even talk to each other anymore.
It's almost like you can replace whatever your nose is in and how they won't talk to each other anymore. Smartphones.
Right. You know, Fred, that's a very good point. And I've been wanting to spew out this hot take for a while. I think people who blame the lack of relationships and interpersonal skills on smartphones, I think that's a lazy excuse by people who are bad at relationships. Case in point, Fred, our 9-year-old niece, she has not yours and mine. I mean, my wife and I. She has never known a world without smartphones.
Never.
She was over our house a couple weeks ago, and she's showing me all these cool games on her phone. We play them together. It was a bonding experience. We bonded over her smartphone.
Sure.
So it's not the appliance that's making it hard for you to have a relationship. It's just that you have bad interpersonal skills. Anyway, so we've been hearing forever and ever. It's a very easy way to get clicks online and shares. How terrible today's kids are. Well, every couple of years, the federal government, they put together a giant report on sexual activity, alcohol and drug uses of teenagers, which to me sounds kind of weird and creepy, but they do it anyway. And it turns out that kids these days, they smoke less, they do less drugs, they drink less, and they have less sex than any group of teenagers since they started keeping track of this.
Kids are more. I would say as a whole, kids are behave. We've had this talk. I love children. I hate a child.
It's a good point. Yeah, right.
Children as a whole are great, but I hate that one kid. God, I hate that kid.
Right, exactly. And it's I don't know. I call it the back in my day syndrome, and I'm guilty of it too. Right, I'm 31, so all the music that the teenagers listen to now sucks. When I was a teenager, what's that?
Yeah, it's awful. It's terrible.
Right. But when I was a teenager, that's when music was the best. But of course, someone a 31-year-old back when I was 16 would say that all the music today now is terrible. It's just something we do. It's human nature.
My dad, growing up, my dad's favorite cartoons were Hanna-Barbera cartoons. There's no better cartoon in the world than a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Oh, shoot. Except when I was growing up, my favorite cartoons were WB cartoons. And they were the best cartoons in the whole freaking world. But if you ask my little sister, all of her favorite cartoons are made in Japan. Because that's the cartoon that was big when she was growing up. Right. Cartoons are not better or worse today. They're just different.
Let's just face it, okay? The best the best era of everything is when we're between the ages of like 10 and 23. Everything else before that, everything else after that sucks. But
I was an idiot till I was 25. It wasn't until I was 25 that I even kind of knew something.
I'm still an idiot, and I'm getting dumber. So,
yeah, solid point.
Yeah, you're one up on me. But now we have the data that says kids these days aren't too bad. And yes, people make the joke, oh, well, they're always on their smartphones. Well, you can sext from a smartphone. I'm sure you can order weed from a smartphone. You could get someone to buy you booze from a smartphone, and these kids aren't doing it. So, you know what? Just cut kids a break, because kids are stupid. No matter what point in history you're at, kids are idiots. But this batch of idiots, they're pretty good idiots. So, hey, way to go, kids. I'm not mad at you.
I'm not mad at them either. Children seek discipline, and I provide that.
Right. Happily. And with an iron fist.
You want direction? I got you. That's all I do.
As a supervisor at your day job, Fred,
sure.
About how many times per week do you send a kid out back to cut you a switch?
I have a go-to switch.
Oh,
so I don't have to. No, I don't personally use a lot of, I'm going to call it capital punishment. I don't know if that's the right term.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't use a lot of capital punishment in my life. There's a handful of times I have. There's a handful of times when there is a kid that is endangering himself or another child.
You just wrap them on the knuckles with a yardstick like you're a Catholic school nun in the 60s.
You think I'm joking, but you are not allowed to hurt anyone else. And if you're attempting to do that, then it sucks. It sucks.
Right.
But that's what it is.
You have to physically restrain them if they're about to hurt other people. Okay, that's not capital punishment. That's you diffusing a situation.
Oh, well then, yeah, I've diffused before, and it's awful.
The thing about cutting a switch, Fred, you only need to do it 1 or 2 times to show them that you're serious. Then you can just the threat of cutting a switch will diffuse the situation.
Well, and I don't know how you handle things in your life that you deem unacceptable. But if I see an action or a tendency or an attempt on something that I think is unacceptable, I immediately correct that action. Like,
good.
You don't get a chance to do that thing wrong, because I'm not going to let you do it wrong again the second time. So, for instance, if you're trying to, I don't know, finagle the rules or move around stuff, here's me putting a stop to this thing. Like, hard no. And I think kids like that.
Well, and that's why you're the most powerful man in all of Wood River and
I don't know about that. I'm just
Illinois suburbs of St. Louis because you don't play no games, Fred. You just lay down the hammer.
If I wasn't so tall, I think that every approach in my life would be failed.
That's true. Because me as a short, chubby guy, I can't lay down the law. If I go to lay down the law, someone's just going to put their arm out and put it on my head, and I'm just going to start swinging my fist wildly at nothing.
I feel like that would work.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes, you have been sedated, sir.
Yes. Fred, I don't know if we talked about Chewbacca Mom.
It was during our hiatus, but what the internet by storm, taking the internet by storm.
A Chewbacca Mom, she just won the hearts of the entire internet, and she did it without sexy outfits. She did it by putting on a Chewbacca mask and laughing.
She was a plant. She was a plant, Mike.
She might have been one for Kohl's, but you know what? I thought, hey, you know what? This is a nice 2.5-minute video. It made me chuckle, and I moved on with my life.
Mike, it was 4 freaking minutes.
Was it 4? Well, I only watched 2.5 minutes then.
This is a plant by Disney, because Disney owns Star Wars, to sell merch. But the greatest plant of all time.
You know, and Fred, I don't think that's too far off of a theory. It hasn't been proven, but I wouldn't discount it.
Has it been disproven? Because this is science.
Well, you know, Fred, actually, she is facing some backlash, right? Because she's received about $400,000 in gifts from corporations, and she's had her kids' college paid for.
You're about $100,000 short on that number, Mike.
Well, is it more up to $500,000 now?
$500,000.
So she's made a cash value of $500,000, and now she's at trade shows charging $25 for autographs. And a lot of people are mad. I am mad at her. You know why? Because she is never going to have as much recognizability, if that's a word, as she does now. And if I can make $500,000 in a span of 6 weeks after going viral, I am striking while that iron is hot, because that window is short and it's closing.
You know what's shorter than that? How short-sighted these people are. Because that video has like 150 million views. I don't do math well, but that works out to like not even $1 a view.
Right. Right. You know what? It's like it's
a good deal.
Probably a few cents. Right. Exactly. And it's been the most viewed video in the history of Facebook Live.
That's crazy to me.
So I say, go on with yourself, Chewbacca Mom. You cash in and you squeeze that golden goose until it's dead, because I would.
And if anyone's trying to steal any of that money from her, you stop that, because the only thing that is allowed to be stolen with her is my heart, because she stole my heart, Mike. It was an adorable little video.
In a platonic way, because she's not that hot. I mean, let's be honest.
Whoa, good point there.
Yeah.
She is, and I think her name's Candace. She's humble. She's haggard. Haggard is the word I would use.
Look, she's relatable. Okay, she's relatable. I mean, she's not an unattractive woman, but she's no Jenna Marbles. But you know what? I find her less annoying than Jenna Marbles has become, even though Jenna Marbles is nowhere near as annoying as Nicole Arbor.
Okay, so let's say you have to choose.
Okay,
Chewbacca Mom or Tommy Lauren?
Are you talking about for what exactly?
Okay, here, let's play this game. You got to marry one.
Okay. Oh, marry, make Whoopi or kill.
Yeah, marry, make Whoopi or kill.
Let's use the match game lingo here, Fred.
Yeah,
make Whoopi.
Yeah, make Whoopi, marry or kill.
Okay, let's hear it.
Chewbacca Mom.
Okay.
Tammy Laren.
Tammy Laren. Okay.
Or Jenna Marbles.
Jenna Marbles. Okay. Well, let's see. I guess I would kill Tammy Lauren.
Duh.
Okay. Now, if I'm marrying her, I can have sex with her, right? I mean, that's.
Did you mean make Whoopi?
Make Whoopi. I'm sorry. Okay, this is what I would do. Okay, kill Tammy Lauren. That's easy. Make Whoopi with Chewbacca Mom, because you can hit that and quit that.
And she'd wear the mask.
Sure. Right. Which would, in a weird way, it made it go by a lot faster. I guess I'm into Wookiees. And then I guess I would marry Jenna Marbles, because you can hit that on the regular, I guess.
I don't have enough attention to give Jenna Marbles, so I don't think it's not the same here.
See, but you know what? I feel like her YouTube fans could fill that void. I just be there to please her beyond her wildest expectations, which is something with a little bit of practice I might be able to.
Congratulations, you and Jenna Marbles are newlywed. Do you or do you not share a Facebook account?
Absolutely. Well, actually, Fred, yes, but only in this instance, because me and Jenna Marbles sharing a Facebook account. Jenna Marbles Parsons. She's going to say Marbles professionally.
Yeah, she's published.
Yeah, if her and I shared a Facebook account, we would get at least 7 more listeners to our podcast. But overall, I am against shared Facebook accounts.
What about shared Facebook accounts? Because this happened to me. I got set off the other day.
Right.
It happened. Right. I saw one. I said, "Am I talking to my friend or am I talking to his obsessive wife?"
Right. Yes.
Which one is it?
It seems very controlling on one person's end. Now, Fred, you made a very strong top 5 list about shared Facebook accounts.
Every day of my life, I make one.
Right. And the one you made about shared Facebook accounts was probably one of your strongest. Now, let me tell you, I see when I see a shared Facebook account, I think one of 2 things. Either A, someone in that relationship does not trust the other and is very controlling, or B, one of them is not on Facebook and the other person's trying to drag them into the Facebook world.
So you think it's like I'll hear the argument if it's like grandma and grandpa.
Right.
And grandma is just trying to, so the grandkids know, you can tag grandma or grandpa here.
Or it's like, oh, my husband thinks Facebook is stupid. I'll put him on my account and he'll see how much fun it is. Or my boyfriend has a lot of pretty female friends or girlfriend, and that makes me nervous. So we better have a shared Facebook account so I can see all messages that come and go.
Okay. If you share a Facebook account, if you do, you have to have a proclamation for the reason that you do it. You have to. You have to tell people if you are of sane mind.
Right. Right. And you know what? It could be as simple as Steve cheated on me, so now I don't trust him or any skeezas.
It would make more sense to me to like share one with your kids. Like you got someone you're supposed to keep an eye on. Yeah, right. This should be Mike and Mike Jr. Parsons. That makes sense to me. I get it. But don't let any creepos send him whoopee pictures. Like, don't. Good.
Are you sending whoopee pictures online again? You're grounded. No more whoopee pictures.
I told you about that. When the time comes, Mike, let's get existential.
Yeah.
When the time comes, when you and Chelsea from upstairs decide to finally procreate.
Right. Yes.
And I don't know, 15 years later, there's Facebook 2.0.
Right.
Do you have access to your child's logins?
As you would say, hard yes.
Yes.
When I have kids, until they're 18 and maybe even a little bit older, I am going to shamelessly spy on everything because it's a dangerous world out there. And I was a kid. I know how invincible I thought I was. I know how many stupid, dangerous things I did, which luckily I survived, which when I have a teenager, I want to know everyone they're talking to online. I want to know everyone they're talking to on the phone. They're not going to be able to manipulate me by saying, I thought I could trust you. Well, guess what? You can't, because until you're 18, you have no rights, and it's my job to keep you from doing something stupid and getting killed or kidnapped.
Mike, did you end up okay?
I did.
Did your parents do the same dumb stuff when they were kids and end up okay?
I don't know, because my parents never admitted to anything when I was a teenager. You ever say it to your parents? You can't say you never did that as a teenager. Like, we're not talking about me as a teenager.
When I was 13, Mike, my dad was the dumbest guy I ever met. And by the time I turned 21, he's one of the smartest men I knew.
Right.
And he didn't change at all, Mike. It was
right. It was you.
Yeah. Mike, it was me. It was me the whole time. And I'm telling you right now, if you want to go out and you want to screw up and you want to do dumb things and get into trouble, I think kids should do that. Also be prepared for, consequences.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And if I see them going out doing normal dumb stuff, I will let them. But if I see them, sending snaps back and forth or talking to someone who I'm sure is a 31-year-old creepo, that's when I'm stepping in. If they want to go out and shoot some firecrackers off at mailboxes, have at it. You'll get a slap on the wrist from the law. But if I feel like they're in actual danger, that's the only time I would step in.
If you spend your whole life without getting into any amount of trouble, even a little bit of trouble, then you don't know what it's like to get into trouble, and you're missing out.
Right. Well, I'll let them get in normal trouble. But if I think I think they're actual danger, then I would step in.
Well, hey, you're not allowed to at any time put yourself or others in harm's way. That's the one rule. There's 2 rules. That's one of them.
We're in harm's way of running out of time, so we'll be back next week. WeighInRadio.com. Thanks for listening, Paul. Bye. Woo! I ended right at the end of the music there, too.
You just dropped a woo on that. Sweet.
I get very excited about posting up to the end.
My brother brought a friend over one time, and we were